Alright, I changed the camera for this one, went to my phone. The other one I was using the tablet, and I couldn't switch back and forth from side to side. So I'm going to do a little bit of a beginner's rundown of baitcasters, because that's one thing that I had not learned up until this year, and even now I'm still learning. But I think I've got a pretty good grasp, especially a good enough grasp to explain it to people. And that's part of why I'm doing this, is as I learn, I want to teach people. So here's what I'm going to talk about today. Or not just today, because this is the third video today. Right now, there are a boatload of baitcasters out there. Prices are pretty cheap, up to you could spend a life savings. You can spend $500 on a reel if you want. I have a hard time with that, but here we go. I have gotten a few in the last, I'll say, year or so, and actually I'll go back 20 years ago. One of the reels that I've got sitting here right now is from 20 years ago. So if you are looking for a baitcaster, or if just learning baitcasters, everybody talks about a backlash. And yes, you will have them. Period. It's going to happen no matter what you do, unless you're not going to be able to outcast a spinning reel. So there are tons of advantages to baitcasters as to why you would want one. One, you can keep your hand in the reel position, thumb, click, cast, and start reeling immediately. You don't have to worry about flipping a bail. You don't have to worry about anything like that. And you can get greater distance, especially with heavier lures. Baitcasters you can flip. There's tons of different things you can do with a baitcaster that you can't necessarily do as well with an open face, especially if you're fishing all day. Reach down, flip the bail, throw it out there, flip the bail, reel it in. You don't have that. It's flip, go, flip, go, flip, go. So it's very nice and smooth and light. They're extremely light. I think the Casking Stealth I picked up is under 6 ounces. What does that mean? Well, the lighter the reel, the lighter the rod, the lighter the guides, lighter everything is, the smoother it is, and the more sensitive it is. So those real light tap bites or strikes that you may not feel with a $20, $30 Walmart pole or rod or reel or whatever, pick your combination, setup, you will feel with a higher end or nicer reel or rod, or it all has to work together. So I'm going to flip this around if I can, and I will show you what I've got sitting here. Okay, awesome, I fibbed. This one won't flip around either. So definitely going to have to invest in a GoPro for this and some editing software, but for now I'm going to continue on. So what I got here is, this is a Fluger Echelon. Let's see here. You can kind of see it there. This is a 6-bearing reel. If you look at the side plate on this one, by where my hand is, it is a magnetic reel, but there's no way to open it. You can't take the spool out. You can't, the cleaning, any of that is going to be considerably more difficult. So when you're looking at a reel, stay away from that one, or ones like it. I don't know if there's others in this model. I got this one for dirt cheap at a garage sale, which isn't a bad place to pick up reels and things. My next one is a Quantum Classic. Old. This is my first baitcaster that I purchased. This one is magnetic as well, or no, this one is not magnetic. This one uses a centrifugal braking system. which is what that is there. I took the side plate off. You can see these tiny little numbers, and that's how you set your centrifugal brake system. And this one I had lots of problems with when I was especially first learning, because I didn't have something like this to guide me. Centrifugal brakes are a good braking system. They aren't the best braking system. They're not as easily workable as some of the other ones, some of the newer ones. I'm not going to say stay away, but for your first baitcaster, I would recommend staying away. Next up, I have an Abu Garcia that I have to turn for because it's still on the rod. I didn't think I was going to have to do this. That one there, it is a Max Z. It's an older one. It's probably, from what I've done reading on, it's a step up from the Black Max, which a lot of people say is the best starting point for new people wanting to get into baitcasters. Side plate, obviously removable because I have it in my hand. In that side plate you can see there's magnets. So it's a magnetic braking system. This reel is a good reel for bait casting. It's what I've used most of this summer when I switched from casting left to right. I don't know if you noticed that with the reels. This one here is actually upside down. There's the front end. This was a left-handed, as I mentioned in my last video. With my shoulder issues, I had to switch hands. But this Abu, just so you maybe know or maybe not know, most of these, like this old classic, have a little lever down on the bottom. That one's there. You pull that little lever, rotate that side plate, which I was hoping to be able to turn this camera around because I can do with one hand, but not when I can't see the screen. So the side plate goes on, like this Abu is this way. This one rotates up. I can't do it with one hand right now. Pause. Alright, so after the pause here, it rotates the wrong way, but then you slide it down into place, and the Abus have this little rod. And now your side plate's secure. Versus this Quantum, which simply just snaps into place. See if I can do this with one hand. So it sits on there, so it's not quite centered, and it rotates in place. Now this little lever here is what locks it. As I said, there's nothing on this Fluger to show that or to open it, so it's basically a non-serviceable reel, we'll call it. So if it starts to grind or get a little grit or dirt or something in there, you're fishing. You're pulling your line through Lord only knows what, sand, dirt, etc. If any of that gets in there, you can't clean it out on that reel. So it's basically a throwaway reel. Starts to make noise, gone, into the trash. Any of these other ones, you don't have to do that. You can pop it apart, you can clean it, you can put it back together, you get a little silicone-based lube, and you're all set. Obviously you don't want to use water-based lube, you're around water with it. Here in Minnesota, we don't have to worry about salt water. If you are saltwater fishing, you want to have something that is corrosion resistant, stainless, that kind of thing. I don't look for that in my stuff because I don't need to. I do know the prices jump significantly when you go to saltwater stuff. My next one is a Cast King. This one's the White Max. This one, you can see the dial, has magnetic brakes. Little lever right here on the bottom, you can kind of see. The reel there, you can see the spool is significantly bigger than what was in the Abu Garcia. You can see holes in there. that spool is extremely light. So that poses its own set of problems, which Cast King figured out, obviously early on. See those little orange things? Those are centrifugal brakes, as well as you got the magnetic brakes out here. So this reel has both. Now, with that being said, it's easy to dial it in. What my recommendation is, if somebody's going to pick up a Cast King Baitcaster, all of the rest of them, say Abu or Quantum, I don't care, pick one. You're going to set it up. You're going to, I don't have a, well, you know what, I'm going to throw a lure on. Hold on. Alright, so what I did, because I had the thought as I'm talking on camera, is I'm going to set up my Abu with the same bait as my Cast King, and show you the difference if you pick up one versus the other, how you're going to want to set that brake. Now every bait casting reel has, see my finger here, see that silver knob? That is the casting drag adjustment knob. To make a good cast, it is imperative, 100%, you get that right. And that's where everybody has problems. Everybody. Until you get used to them. Now, I set both of these up so that when I have this, I hit the button, you heard it drop and hit the ground. See how there's no backlash in that reel? That's what you want. That's how you want a normal, everyday bait caster to work. I'm going to do this right here. Drop. See how there's just a little bit of a backlash? I need to set that casting drag just a skosh tighter. So, you just give it a 1/16 of a turn. It literally takes very little. See if I can get everything into view here. Kind of sucks not being able to change the other direction. So, hit the ground, and no backlash. So, that's how I would set a normal gravity check, normal bait caster. Are you guys getting seasick yet? I would be. Now, I said normal bait caster. These Cast Kings. Now, this Max Z is a 7-bearing reel. A lot of bearings. This Cast King is 11. And as I mentioned, that spool is significantly different. So it is way lighter and it is bigger. So you've got an object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? Well, getting an object moving, such as this, it's mechanical advantage. So you've got a bigger spool, it's easier to move, and it's lighter. So all of that equates to a better casting experience. Throw 11 bearings at it, this thing sails. I can cast this Cast King with just a flip of my wrist as far as I can when I really rip on that Abu. But, that being said, I hit the button, it's not moving. I can give it a little jiggle, now it starts to go. That's how you got to set a Cast King. I've got my brakes, all 4 of my centrifugal brakes set all the way up. And I've got my magnetic brakes, for now, set almost all the way up. As I learn this reel, because I just got it, and I'm just starting to use it, I'm going to play with those settings, and I'm willing to bet I can get another 10 feet of distance of casting out of this reel without backlash than my Abu, no matter what I do with the Abu. So when you're looking for gear, if this is your first baitcaster, as much as I'd love to say grab a Cast King, I think you will get frustrated. Grab yourself a Black Max or a lower end Abu Garcia, and you're not going to get all the distance that you can with some of the other reels, but it will get you familiar and comfortable for casting. You throw that thing out there just before that bait hits the water, you put your thumb on a spool. A lot of guys think they can, it's like an old Zebco 202 from when they were a kid, and they could just hit the button, zing it, and then just start reeling. Another part of backlash is that ending. You need to stop it before it hits. Especially if you do a bad cast and you hit a tree branch or something like that. If that lure stops mid-flight, you're having a bad day. You've got a backlash. Anytime you change a lure. Now, like I said, I'm throwing on both of these for this example. I did two. They're the Storm 5-foot divers. Same lure, different color. If I go from that lure to a chatterbait, I got to reset that drag, that casting drag. You don't have to reset everything, just that casting drag. You'll get used to it in time. Everybody does it a little different, but basically how I just showed there with the rod at a 45 and pushing the button is the best way to check and see your casting drag and see how it's set. So spread the word to your friends, all right? Tell them about this channel. Subscribe. Tell me how I can do things different to help you. If there's something you want to see me do, let me know. I'm happy to try and do it. If I have the stuff, I will do it right away. If I don't have the stuff and I have to buy it, it might take a little bit for, to get the money going and show you guys. But in the meantime, have a good day. Tight lines.